How's it going, everyone? Laughing here, and today we actually have a lot of exciting Battlefield 2042 information to go over. So EA and DICE have actually put out a lot of really interesting and good information on the website, so we're going to be checking out that, some info on maps, the lore of the game, some of the game modes we can expect, and much more. And then actually some YouTube personalities got kind of like a sneak peek as to some of the other stuff that are going to be revealed a little bit later on. They were able to talk about it, and I kind of watched all of those videos, and so I'm going to kind of condense everything fairly quickly and shortly as to everything that they said before we actually get to the website info. But before I get started, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It really goes a long way to helping the channel grow, and I would much appreciate it. All right, so to start us off, I'm actually going to go through the condensed info that a lot of the kind of YouTube personalities and media that were actually able to kind of get a sneak peek as to some of the stuff that's going to be revealed a little bit later on, kind of what they said. So to start us off, and kind of exciting, is there's actually going to be a new physics engine in the game within Frostbite. So this is actually the latest version of the Frostbite engine, so it's not going to be nice and upgraded and a lot more physics, so we can expect some pretty crazy stuff that we weren't able to do in past Battlefield games, which is why they could probably have, tornadoes, rocket launches exploding, maybe even both. We'll kind of see. So pretty exciting with that. In terms of the lore, I am going to go through a little bit more of the lore on the website, but it is set in 2042. The title name, no big surprise there. And the factions that are fighting are Russia and the US, but the actual people that are fighting are called no-pats. They fight for both sides, and they basically are kind of homeless soldiers for hire that kind of fight for either side. So kind of interesting there. Much like Warzone and kind of what Call of Duty is doing, there's actually going to be story elements in multiplayer. So there's no actual single player campaign, which I know some people are kind of divided on that. For me, I don't really care. I like the last Call of Duty I played, I have not touched the single player. The Call of Duty before that, I tried to play through a decent part of it and just could never finish it. So ultimately, I'm buying Battlefield for the multiplayer, not a single player in the first place. So I don't really care. I do think sometimes kind of story elements within a multiplayer only game can be kind of cheesy and just kind of whatever. I usually don't really care or follow it that well. It's because I'm not here for story. I'm here to shoot the other team. But some people are kind of into that, so that is something to kind of be aware of. It is going to be 128 players on PC and new generation consoles. On past gen, it's going to be 64 players max, and the map sizes are actually going to be slimmed down a little bit. A really cool new element that they've added is you can actually switch scope, barrel, ammo, under barrel, as well as I believe grips as well, kind of on the fly, which is pretty cool. I guess it's very similar to Crisis. That's what a few of the people who I kind of watched said, kind of related it to, which kind of makes sense. So that'll be on the screen for you. Just kind of give you an idea. You're not going to be able to see any sort of stats as to kind of what changes, but hopefully you kind of have an idea of kind of what does what. And yeah, you can just kind of switch it on the fly. So if you are in a wide open area and your gun is more attuned to more long range combat, but now you're going to go into an area that's a little bit more close range, maybe you can shorten that barrel, change your ammo type, what have you, on the fly. It's going to make you a much more versatile fighter, which is really cool. A pretty cool new addition is they're actually going to have AI bots or human players in multiplayer. So there's actually going to be like full modes that you can play with no humans whatsoever, like a practice mode where you're just kind of fighting, computer players basically, but also in like full-blown multiplayer as well to kind of pad out the numbers, make it so that games always feel populated. It does sound like they're going to have these kind of AI controlled teammates for you, which depending on kind of how you feel about that, could be good or bad. In terms of longevity for the game, because I actually have been playing Battlefield 4 a decent amount again, there are a lot of different servers I want to join, game modes I want to play, that I can't, simply because either the one server that has it is like always at capacity and I have to wait like an hour to get in, or it just, there's no server for it. So kind of longevity for the game, if I was able to play with AI players, and be able to do it that way, that'd be kind of nice, because I could still kind of get the game experience I want and that I want to play, without having to wait a whole bunch, or just honestly not even having that option. So long-term wise, I really dig that. Short-term wise, we'll kind of see how that plays out. And you can also progress with your weapons with that too. So if you are kind of newer to the Battlefield series, first-person shooters, what have you, this is actually going to be a really good way to up your skills. I know in the past, for a lot of people, that's kind of what campaign was. It's like, all right, here's the tutorial. We'll throw a story in there, kind of whatever. Obviously, that's gone now. So this is what's replacing that, which I'm honestly pretty fine with. Sounds like fun. And hey, if I can progress as well, cool. I have a feeling that this might be broken potentially. We'll kind of see at launch. I could definitely see people kind of just populating only like AI player characters, or non-player characters rather, in maps, and just fight that way, just to like super level up whatever guns, classes that they're going to do, what have you. So I'm kind of curious to see if it's the same as multiplayer, if you get different points, what have you. I would assume it'd be different points, or more points if you actually killed an actual human or player controlled character. But we'll kind of see. I think that part's really interesting. I'm in general a fan of it. I think it's going to be good. Like I said, especially for a lot of newer players, or new players to the Battlefield franchise that are coming from Call of Duty or what have you. I do think that's a good thing, but it will be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. Another cool thing is you can actually call vehicles kind of, wherever you are. So like land vehicles, for instance, you can actually have a land vehicle basically pop right down on like an enemy position and kill them as well. So kind of cool. It sounds like there's gonna be like somewhat of a point system to kind of call these things in, which is kind of cool. And it does look like there's gonna be like Apache helicopters, jets, kind of like squad type, like LAV type vehicles. The Little Bird, Osprey, looks like Chinooks. A lot of these vehicles are all going to be in the game as well. There's an emphasis on actual positions within these vehicles being more engaging and useful. So if you have a tank, for instance, with only one person in it, as opposed to a tank with like maybe three, the tank with three people is actually going to end up being much more effective, because those positions are actually much more useful than what they used to be. A really cool thing that I dig is these maps are going to be absolutely massive. I believe like from what I heard, like one of the maps, and this is just one of them, not all the maps, just one map is about the same size as like Fortnite's original map, or like I think it was like a half or third of PUBG's like original map as well, which is really wild. And I apologize if I got the scaling wrong a little bit on that. But the point is, these maps are absolutely massive, especially if you're on PC or next gen, current gen, PS5, Xbox Series X and S consoles. These maps are going to be absolutely huge with the 128 players. So really kind of excited to see how that is going to play out. I'm super stoked on that. That is for sure. There's also going to be a lot of interactive elements. So I think the best kind of example is the map with the rocket launch pad. Depending on what each faction or players do, that launch can be successful and the rocket's up and away, or that rocket can fail and blow up and actually kind of change how the map is. There's also other interactive elements like locking doors, zip lines, what have you. It's going to either be able to help you open up more ways to get to certain objectives, or kind of slow the enemy down and make it so there's less options for them, so you can kind of tunnel more enemy players through a certain way that you want. So very interesting strategic gameplay, which I really dig. That's a big part of why I like the Battlefield franchise over Call of Duty, just simply because there is a much more strategic element to it, which is awesome. There's also going to be a lot more customization when it comes to the characters. So no longer do we have just kind of generic soldiers. There actually are going to be specialists, and those specialists do have kind of their own class. So assault, recon, engineer, and support. Those kind of class specialties are still there, but now you're going to choose a specialist that's within that class, and then you can actually customize them out with different armors, what have you, which is good, because at first I was really kind of concerned that it's going to kind of suffer from what Call of Duty kind of has, like a new skin comes out, everyone looks the exact same. I don't need to see, you know, eight diehards all on the same map or match. It's just kind of weird. So I do really like that. That, you know, even if everyone's, you know, people are playing the same kind of specialist character, they can look completely different. So I'm really actually on board with that. That sounds really cool. It does sound like there's going to be a lot of like weapon and class customization with that as well. So weapons are no longer locked to a specific class. So if you want to be support, you want to bring, you know, ammo, what have you, whatever gadget that the support specialist has, and a sniper rifle, you can do it. No worries. That's kind of, I really dig that. And vice versa, of course, if you want to play recon and you want to just be running around with SMG, you can do that as well. So a lot more kind of openness. Whereas like past Battlefields, that really wasn't the case. I think Battlefield 4 was pretty good with that to an extent. Of course, you did have kind of the general kind of locked classes, but you had the DMRs, oh my God, the other ones, I think it was PDWs, PWDs. Oh shoot. And there's another one too, and shotguns that weren't locked. So you had kind of like 3 kind of weapon classes that weren't locked to any specific class, and then each class kind of had their own kind of weapons. So that's been opened up a little bit more, which is really cool. Yeah, I just dig that in a general sense. So yeah, just in general, the customization for your characters, weapons, loadout, what have you, looks to be fairly open, and I'm all about that. All right, so now we're actually going to look at the official website that EA and DICE put together. We're going to start off with a little bit of the lore of the actual game. Obviously, it's set, you know, over 20 years from now, and they do want to have it be, you know, pretty realistic at the same time. So this is kind of like how, kind of what happened in the world to kind of get to where we are when we actually start playing. So in 2042, the world is on the edge of chaos. They've actually had a decade of not good times, collapsing economies, broken alliances, rising sea levels, horrible hurricanes, global fuel shortages as well. European Union officially is disbanded. And then we actually have the no-pats. The no-pats are going to be what we actually play as. And they are left behind, the displaced band together into ragtag fleets in search of safe harbor. They are families, farmers, doctors, engineers, and soldiers. The once privileged and the impoverished, with backgrounds that are worlds apart, forced together, determined to survive. The media calls them the non-patrioted. They call themselves no-pats. So this is the new normal. So 2037, humanity adapts to the new normal. Revolution in energy, desert irrigation, hydraulic levees, the seawalls, save coastal cities, reclaim farmland, rebuild supply chains, what have you. However, there's no way to repatriate 1.2 billion people. No-pats become a permanent fixture in all economic, military, and social policy making. Many no-pats are distrustful of the governments that exiled them and refuse calls to reassimilate. No-pat leaders emerge and inspiring a new identity unbound to former nationality, drawing a line in the sand between the old world and the new normal. We are no-pats becomes a rallying cry. So, looks like there's also blackout in 2042. A sudden space debris storm creates Kessler effect, causing 70% plus of the orbiting satellites to malfunction and crash to Earth. Dear God. The cause is unknown. So a lot of blackouts that goes on. Planes crash, communication grids collapse. All that crazy stuff happens. The world's on a brink. No internet, no navigation, no surveillance, no storm forecasts. And the geopolitical distrust surges overnight. No one can spy on each other, so no one can trust each other. Both Russia and the U.S. claim the other is responsible for the blackout, while some suspect no-pats were behind it and accused them of trying to sow anarchy. Former military and combat trained specialists amongst the no-pats rise up into armed task force to defend themselves as tensions rise. So brink of war, a food and fuel shortage ignites a shadow war between the U.S. and Russia. To maintain plausible deniability, both sides field no-pat task forces as proxies in escalating conflicts over resources, promising the refugees a piece of what is left. 2042, open war is imminent. No-pats have no choice but to choose sides, fighting not for a flag, but for their future. So I had to say, this does sound pretty interesting, and honestly, the whole proxy war kind of thing is not something that's new. It actually happened a lot between the U.S. and Russia back in the Cold War, and I do dare say that a decent amount of it has still kind of happened in recent history as well, especially in the Middle East. So really kind of interesting kind of concept, and I'm kind of curious to see how the story kind of unfolds throughout the multiplayer. Hopefully I'll be able to follow it better than what I can Call of Duty, but we'll kind of see. All right, so next up is kind of a look at the live service model of this, and this has been a big question for a lot of people. What is Battlefield going to do? Are they going to have, paid DLC? Are they going to do a battle pass, something completely different? And we do kind of have a general understanding of what they're going to do now. So we're taking a new approach to the live service for the Battlefield game, where players will be given the services and evolution they've come to expect from modern multiplayer games. And they want to keep the community playing for a long time. We'll be evolving our world and expanding on the fiction through seasons, each one lasting for about 3 months. Makes sense. Every season will come with a new free and paid for Battle Pass. So very, very similar to what Call of Duty is doing. And from what I heard with the Battle Pass is all the weapons that come with that, it looks like that will be kind of free. Of course, you maybe get probably blueprints or something like that if you pay for stuff, but a lot of the paid for things are actually going to be more cosmetic, probably armor pieces, that kind of stuff. They have charms now as well, so that sort of stuff is going to be the more than likely paid for content on there. And it looks like they're going to have 4 new specialists along with fresh content, more maps, that sort of thing. All right, so let's look at game mode. So we have kind of 3-ish game modes that have been announced, and another one that is going to be announced at the end of July, rather. So for All Out Warfare, we have Conquest and Breakthrough. This features 128 players, and this is going to be, I believe, across all the maps that have been revealed so far. So pretty kind of standard and expected game modes, I feel. Hopefully we'll get, like Rush later on. That's my personal favorite kind of Battlefield game mode. We'll kind of see. Breakthrough's kind of similar but different at the same time. I still like Breakthrough, but yeah, we'll kind of see what they're going to add later down the line. Then they also have Hazard Zone. So it's basically a squad-based game type. It's a take on the modern take on the multiplayer experience, they say. It's distinctly Battlefield, but very different from modes of All-Out Warfare. So this is not going to be a battle royale. When people hear kind of squad-based, what have you, that's kind of where their minds go. DICE has been very explicit, the fact that this is not a battle royale. They're not doing a battle royale, which I got to say, I actually have to applaud them on that, not just chasing the trend, but actually maybe starting their own. I like that. I am for that. I want more big companies to go that route. Yes, Battle Royale is big. Yes, XYZ is big. Either do something somewhat similar thing, but have a completely different take on it, or try something completely different. Just always kind of chasing trends for these big games. I find annoying a lot because then we have like 85 different battle royales and only like 3 or 4 of them are actually decent or good or last more than a year. So I'm excited that kind of see what Hazard Zone is going to be. And then we have a redacted thing. DICE is really excited to kind of talk about whatever this is, and they will kind of talk about it in July 22nd. So one thing is, once again, for the 128 players, this is specific to the next gen, current gen consoles, not PS4, not Xbox One generation. And it's also going to be for PCs. It's going to be 128 players as well. I don't think I need to go through what Conquest and Breakthrough are. If you're watching this video, you're probably a Battlefield fan. Conquest, like, I don't know, big domination. Breakthrough, you keep going forward, try to take points. Anyway, moving on. Let's look at the maps. So I'm actually really excited by the maps that were shown off. They look really cool, really exciting, different, yet somewhat kind of familiar at the same time. So let's see if it will pull up this full res screenshot. Here we go. So this is cinematic, not the full thing, but definitely kind of gives me some Battlefield 4 vibes. I'm horrible with map names, so I apologize ahead of time. God, I really can't think of the map's name, but it's like the tropical storm map, basically. I think you start on like the downed aircraft carrier. if you're defending, that is. So really cool. I really like this kind of map design, having a rocket launch there, but potential tornadoes, tropical storm, what have you. I think that's going to be a good element. Hourglass. Look, I'm really excited for Hourglass as well, based in Qatar. So that's kind of cool. It gives me a lot of kind of cyberpunk-ish vibes, especially for like the buildings in the background. A lot of opportunities to zip line, what have you. And this area right here is actually going to be playable. So even though like this is kind of close and those buildings are really far away, this whole area is actually going to be playable. I have a feeling the staging ground is going to be like a little bit closer to us. But yeah, so let's say you're playing like Breakthrough. There's a good shot that this area, the stadium here, is going to be one of the first areas that you're going to try to take. And then you might have to try to take a point between here and the buildings. And I guess there's like a lot of sand dunes for vehicle combat, what have you. Then you get into the city and the warfare kind of changes. And here, like big sandstorm, that sort of thing. So that'll be kind of cool. And it does seem like potentially, I believe more than one, I would hope more than one of these buildings is going to be fully destructible as well. So that'll be kind of cool to see how that map kind of evolves. All right, next up is Kaleidoscope. This is in South Korea. So this one, I guess you can definitely kind of zip line between the different buildings. And I guess there's a data center here in the middle. This is going to be kind of the main area where a lot of folks are going to be trying to fight for. It gives me personally some, I said it before in my initial kind of reaction to the gameplay, the reveal trailer rather. But yeah, it gives me like Operation Metro vibes. I love that map, but not really like the underground, although there probably hopefully is an underground here. It's more of like before the underground and not so much when you get out. But so anyway, that just kind of excites me. That's one of my favorite maps, that's for sure. So pumped on that, and we'll kind of see what they do with that. And then moving on, oop, boop, boop, boop. Next up is Manifest. So this is going to be in Singapore. Not a really great look at the map itself, but there's going to be a lot of shipping containers that you can actually move around. I think more tropical storm, maybe more tornado stuff. And the tornado that they showed off in the trailer, I believe, can be in multiple different maps. So that's kind of cool. Not a whole lot to talk about this map, but I dig it. It looks like there's going to be a lot of good close combat opportunities there, so that's kind of cool. Next up is Discarded. So this is going to be kind of like a scrapped ship kind of deal. It's going to be based in India. In the trailer, we see that like one of these kind of parts of the ship actually like falls, which is kind of neat. So really look forward to kind of going through this as well. Very different from the other maps that we've seen so far. And I like the design, I like the idea. Once again, wide open combat here. You go through the ship, a little bit more claustrophobic warfare or close combat warfare, whatever. However you want to say it. So I like the variety of combat that you can have. I always felt like Battlefield, for the most part, did a pretty good job with that. I think there's definitely room to improve, which hopefully, at the very least, to me, it seems like that they've done that. So kind of cool. And maybe these little things anchoring the ship can even work as zip lines. A zip line right there, maybe. I don't know. Kind of cool, interesting kind of map to kind of look at. And Breakaway. So this was the ice map. And this is, of course, where the trailer kind of starts. Huge map. This map is supposed to be absolutely huge. It takes place in Antarctica. They're fighting over oil refineries. So pretty open for the most part, except for kind of here. I guess there's going to be an oil rig not far away as well, where you can have a little bit more close combat, close quarters combat. But yeah, kind of pretty interesting. The vehicles in the trailer for this map look pretty interesting. So yeah, kind of looking forward to seeing how that goes. And of course, we have the peak. I still don't know the name of the peak. I'm sorry. Or still forget it rather. But a little bit DNA from an old Battlefield map in the new, which I dig very much so. And then here's honestly, for me, my most kind of hyped one. It's not one that we really see a whole lot in the trailer, but so this is like an agricultural center. And over here, there's like a solar field for energy, and there's a big wall between it. So this looks like this might be the biggest kind of like map with the most kind of differences depending on where you go. That gets me really excited to kind of see what they're going to do with that. Yeah, giant wall, agricultural area, yep, extreme conditions. I don't know. This map just makes me excited because, you know, you fight your way in the desert and then suddenly you break through a wall and open fields. So kind of cool. So that's kind of a look at all of the maps that they have out currently, or that they're showing us currently. All right, so next up, we actually have the specialists. So I'm not going to go through each and every one, kind of what their powers are. Once more of these guys are actually revealed, I'm going to do a specific video on that. Well, I will do kind of a brief overview. So this kind of represents the various classes that we've had before. I believe this guy is engineer class. He has kind of like an auto turret. This guy is more of the recon class. I believe she's the assault class and he is the support class. So kind of cool. Each one of these kind of specialists have their own kind of special tool, ability, what have you. And then they have a second one where you can kind of choose whatever you want. So for his is like a grappling hook. She has like a revive gun. He has an auto turret. Then this person, the recon guy, he actually has like a little like hover drone that can kind of mark enemies in his area. So kind of cool. And I guess all of this armor is customizable, which I'm personally a pretty big fan of. So the last few things I'm going to look at are the different kind of additions. So they do have pre-order bonuses here. Looks like they're going to have some weapon charms, which, I don't know. Never really cared about them in Call of Duty. It's kind of another thing that I think DICE and Battlefield's going to be called out for ripping from Call of Duty, but whatever. Special knives, dig that. That's a Battlefield staple right there. ACB. Yeah, all right. Brings me back. And looks like we have another background and tag. Whoop-de-doo. But that's the early access, open beta kind of pre-order benefit. So looking at the editions here, standard edition, you get everything that's up there. You get the game. You do get early access to the open beta if you pre-order. Gold edition, early access to game launch. So they are going to have the tiered when you can play it. Yeah, as you can see, it's like a week difference. So if you pay more, you can play a week early, which I'm not a fan of. I want to be straightforward with that. I think that's a load of bull, but that's what they're doing. But you get access to open beta as well. You also get 4 new specialists, 4 battle. Okay, so you're getting the first year battle passes with this as well. That's not bad for the price, and a cross-gen bundle as well. So if you're like me, you have a PS4, PS4 Pro, Xbox One, what have you, and you are looking to upgrade to the next thing whenever you can get your hands on one, this might be the bundle you want to go with, so you don't have to buy the game twice. I still think that's kind of BS, because if I buy the game, just like let me play it on the new console. All right, whatever. Anyway, that's for a different day, I suppose. And then for the Ultimate Edition, you're getting the digital soundtrack, art book, the Ultimate Bundle. Yeah, that's pretty much all you're getting between the Gold and Ultimate. So, yeah, those are the different the different benefits you are going to have. So yeah, there is going to be an open beta probably August, September. There's no hard date on that. I will be doing the beta. May that be known. I'm definitely going to be doing that, which sadly means I have to pre-order. Not super pumped on that. But yeah, I will be playing the open beta. That is for sure. And I believe this Sunday, the 13th, we're going to get some more Battlefield info. I will be covering that as well as everything else at the Microsoft conference. So if you enjoyed kind of what you watched here and you want future Battlefield news, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It seriously helps me out and be much appreciated. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all are fantastic. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Do something good for yourself. And as always, take care.